Hi guys, thanks for spending your time with me today to learn. So hopefully you'll learn a little something about SPF. So Unveiled, a lesson about sunscreen with Body and Beauty Lab. We're going to talk about healthy skin and a happy life. So just a little bit about myself. I've been a registered nurse since 1997. I have my Bachelor's of Science from the University of Alaska, Anchorage, where you will notice you can still get sunburned there. After leaving Alaska, I began practicing at Duke University Medical Center in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. And there I went to the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, and began pursuing my advanced practice nursing degree. At Duke, I had the opportunity to float on various units there, including the orthopedic unit, plastics unit, urology. And then in 2003, I began practicing as a nurse practitioner on the pain service there. So I also got to float around the hospital. It was a great opportunity to see all sorts of patients. I began my aesthetics career in 2006 with Iatria Medical Spa in Raleigh, North Carolina, and then later began practicing at Carolina Medical and Central. It was also affiliated with the Dermatology Center in Chapel Hill. So then in 2011, I moved back to my childhood town of Swarthmore, PA, and then was recruited to be a full-time trainer for injectable medicine, pharmaceutical and device company, Mertz Aesthetics. So then in 2013, I began working at Aloria Medical Spa and Accent Dermatology in Medford, New Jersey, where I still practice 2 days a week and on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and I see both medical derm patients and aesthetic patients. Then in 2018, I had the privilege of joining 3000 BC, then later named Body and Beauty Lab. And so that's where I practice now, Mondays and Fridays. And then we have injectors all the days, as well as estheticians, including Saturdays. You can actually get a facial there on a Saturday. So Body and Beauty Lab is a great, beautiful spa. It won Philly's Best in Style Award 2 years in a row. So it's really been a privilege to join this team. And they're always keeping up with the latest lasers. So I know we're offering the patients just the best technology out there. So the location is at the bottom of the screen here, Body and Beauty Lab, 834 Chestnut Street, just around the corner from De Bruno's. And we offer Botox lasers, cool sculpting, hydrofacial, lip injections, chemical peels, and lots more. So all the estheticians have lots of experience, as well as the injectors. So here's just a bit about the outline of what we're going to talk about today, just methods for healthy skin. And even Oprah says if we actually know it's just sun protection, but it's hard just to get outside, do the things we love, and still kind of maintain protected. So it's kind of just about finding a balance in how we can enjoy life and still keep healthy skin. So we're talking about seeking shelter. Some people have beach umbrellas, things like that. We'll talk about UV rays. This is just to help you kind of become a more educated consumer. You always hear the EPA, these things when you're listening to the weather report. Oh, the UV index, what is that? So anyway, if you hear it's 7 to 9 and they say it's high, that actually equates to a burn time of just 20 minutes. And then 4 to 7 is medium, so they say that's 30 minutes. 0 to 4 is low, which is burn time is an hour. So over 9, they say you'll actually burn in less than 15 minutes. When I'm talking to patients about a skincare regimen for them, it's very overwhelming. There's so many products out there. So oftentimes I'll talk about a skincare pyramid in order to help guide them on what products to purchase that'll be best for them. We also offer the Vizia skin analysis at Body and Beauty. Today on my Injector Sarah Instagram, I shared my daughter getting it done. So you could see she actually got her true age of 12. And then we'll talk a little bit about sunscreen properties and recommendations, procedures to help reverse sun damage if you did get inadvertently too much sun damage, which is very easy to do. Physical versus chemical SPF, antioxidants, retinoids, AHAs, which are hydroxy acids like glycolic acid, peptides, growth factors, and then I'll talk about some of my favorite Body and Beauty Lab products that fall within the skin pyramid. Yeah, I was very overwhelmed by how much was out there on sun protection and trying to synthesize it down. So methods for healthy skin sun protection. So preventative skincare is the best anti-aging for the skin. Preventative practices include, just like mom always said, avoiding the sun if you can during the peak hours, 10 to 4, staying in the shade or an UV-proof umbrella. When participating in outdoor activities, it is important to wear sun protective clothing when possible, like a sun protective hat. One thing I actually learned was that a wet shirt is actually less sun protective than a dry shirt. It's nice to have something that would also cover the back of the neck. Also dressing in tightly woven fabrics, and if they don't have a UV protection factor, just something tightly woven. Sunglasses also work to protect the delicate skin around the eye and then stop you from squinting, which of course can create wrinkles over time. And just to know that sunscreen really should be worn every time that you go outside. And of course it comes in the forms of lotions, sprays, and it's also included in many cosmetic products like lip balms, day moisturizers, and mineral-based powders and foundations. Oftentimes we'll put a mineral-based powder over a lotion sunscreen for a little bit of added protection. So UV rays, indoor and outdoor. Believe it or not, when I was in my early 20s, we did not know that sunbeds and tanning beds were not healthy. So UV stands for ultraviolet, the radiation from the sun whenever you're outside. The two groups that affect the body are UVA and UVB rays. The main source of UV radiation is from the sun reaching the earth. UV rays are the strongest in areas of high altitude, so if you're up on a mountain or depending just where you are geographically, and proximity to the equator. So if you're visiting, let's say, Ecuador or something in South America. Areas with weak ozone layers, for instance, Australia is known to have a hole in their ozone. In addition to during the summer months, it's going to be more intense. Exposure to UV rays can also happen by reflection. I've seen this happen where my aunt is super pale and she actually stayed under the umbrella all day at the beach, and we put sunscreen on her. She got a burn just from the reflection off the sand. So pavement and even grass for somehow, and especially snow, which is why sunburn can even occur in Alaska. Another way to be exposed to harmful UV radiation are sun lamps and tanning beds. I'm sharing a link at the end that actually is a link to this map we have here, which talks about different states that want to not allow minors to tan. Indoor tanning is not a safer alternative to outdoor tanning. 97% of women diagnosed with melanoma, which is the deadliest form of skin cancer, before age 30 actually use tanning beds. The FDA released a statement in 2014 that indoor tanning beds must contain a black box warning about their dangers, and many organizations are pushing to ban anyone under 18 from using them. So sorry, I forgot to mention, I can't see your questions come through during the presentation, so I'll have time at the end for them. 95% of the radiation reaching you are actually UVA rays. They're the longest rays from the sun, 315 to 400 nanometers. They penetrate deep into the skin and cause the immediate tanning that you see, kind of by stimulating the melanocytes. UVA is also responsible for the premature aging and wrinkling of the skin. So while a tan often looks healthy, it's actually, unfortunately, skin damage. So how to protect yourself. Broad spectrum sunscreen is crucial to reducing negative effects of UVA rays. Unfortunately, it's up to the consumer to recognize if their sunscreen contains broad spectrum protection, because oftentimes you don't see the damage that's happening from UVA rays. At the end, there's some links, and one of them actually shows a graphic of the UVA penetrating and how deep it goes, almost to the fatty layer of the tissue. So also monitor the UV index in your body signs to tell you when it's time to seek shade and get relief from the harmful rays of the sun. UVB radiation. So just remember, A is more aging, B is more burn. So UVB rays 280 to 315 nanometers. They're the second type of radiation that affect the body and the skin. While they occur in smaller amounts than UVA rays, the effects of exposure are still detrimental. So they're what causes the thickening of the skin and delayed burning or tanning. It's a significant contributor to melanoma. Sunscreen is essential as well as sun protective clothing. The thickening of the skin, we often term in dermatology solar elastosis. It's a direct result from not protecting against UVA rays. And once that really sets in, it's extremely hard for us to treat. We can read in the literature that you could do a series of lasers, a series of peels, but it's very hard to treat. So it's just prevention is really the best. Multiple ablative laser resurfacing treatments once the damage has been done. Okay, can we do midway questions? Okay, anybody have any questions up till this point? Okay, so when I have a client sitting there that says there's hundreds of things I can buy, I don't know where to start. I talk about the skincare pyramid. If you just are gonna do one thing, get a good cleanser and sun protection. So one thing I didn't put on this, because I think it almost belongs in both, are antioxidants. Some of our sun protection, some of our SPF lotions actually have antioxidants that help prevent some of the free radical damage that occurs in oxidation in the skin from the sun. And then retinoids, bleaching agents, alpha hydroxy acids, and then at the top of the pyramid are the peptides and growth factors. So it depends on personally how much you want to spend on your products, and also what kind of goals you're trying to achieve and how much time you're going to spend kind of putting different lotions on. So we'll work to customize something that fits for you. So we also offer a Visia skin analysis to all of our clients. And this isn't anything that's painful. You just put your head in and it'll do a 3D picture and see what's going on under the skin. And this will kind of help us if we do one, and then afterwards you do an IPL or a series of peel or some other treatments just to see, oh, let's do my Visia again and see what happened. And it also will tell you kind of an estimated age. So that gives some people anxiety, but most people do fine with it. It takes a bunch of data from all different people and sees where you fall. So it'll talk to you about your wrinkles, folds, lines, brown or red spots, large pores, your skin tone, and then also the porphyrins or bacteria content. And just, it helps us kind of guide a customized treatment for you. So then what is exactly SPF? Most of us know it stands for sun protection factor and is a measure of how solar energy or UV radiation is required to result in a sunburn. So versus unprotected skin. So some people really believe SPF 15 means you're protected for 15 hours, which of course it does not. Hopefully you all know that. I think you probably do. But we need to reapply sunscreen. And when I was doing research for this, I realized that the FDA will say maybe every couple hours, whereas other websites will say every hour. So it depends how much you're sweating. If you're swimming, things like that, you just need to remember to reapply. And sunscreen is not really better than being in shade or wearing sun protective clothing, but if we have to get out there, that's what we're gonna have to do, is slather this on. And so because of all the factors that we talked about with the geographic location, the UV index, the SPF number cannot give us a definitive time for how long we can stay out there. So that's a little bit of a challenge, but it's just kind of to compare it with other sunscreens, hopefully to offer you a little more protection, the higher the number, and if it's broad spectrum. So we have physical sunscreens, chemical, and both. So the physical sunscreen ingredients are going to be zinc and titanium dioxide. So these are inorganic chemicals. They're mineral based and and together work as broad spectrum sunscreen and reflect sun's rays away. Oftentimes you'll have a sunscreen, if you read ingredients, that has both titanium dioxide and zinc oxide. An advantage to this is that it's broad spectrum. A disadvantage is some people don't find them cosmetically appealing because sometimes it might be thick and white due to the formulations. But with technology, we've been able to micronize them, make nanoparticles, so they are more cosmetically elegant and people will wear them. Which I know is controversial with environmental working group, but most people think that these are safe. The FDA does find these to be safe. So chemical sunscreens, they work by absorbing the sun's rays while the physical is reflecting them away. So some ingredients in chemical sunscreens include oxybenzone, avobenzone, homosalate, and salicylisobenzone. There's many because they have to have different ones that cover just kind of the full, to become broad spectrum. One of the most common ones that's used is oxybenzone. So that one, of course, is one of the most common that people could be sensitive to, which is a challenge. So some people obviously have to read ingredients if that's the case. So then we'll have sunscreens that have some sunscreens with both the physical and the chemical all in one sunscreen. And also I have to mention, you don't want to leave your sunscreen like in a hot car because it could break down. It's controversial whether or not a physical sunscreen is going to break down. So I might keep something like this powder in my car because I know it's physical and it won't break down the way a chemical sunscreen will, like one with oxybenzone. Okay. So also, it's just good to find a sunscreen that you like, obviously, because then you'll wear it if you like it. So if you're not allergic, that gives you more choices out there. Do you want one with a tint or a white? Some people don't like the white because in photos it'll kind of reflect white off of them and just in person look white. We have a couple with the universal tint, which is nice. Just sometimes if you're a slob like me, it might get on the collar of your shirt. So that can be a challenge. So also, do you prefer a matte finish or more of a sheen? I used to love a sunscreen with more of a sheen, but then later I liked one with a silicone base, which would look more matte. But it's just great that there's so many different textures out there. Just like some people can't stand Vaseline, and some people like it. So just kind of get one with the consistency that you like. And also as I've aged, I feel like I need one with more moisturizer in it. So just find one that you like, you'll reapply. I oftentimes will put just like a sunscreen on in the morning and then, hopefully I'll put it on again. But like I say, I can reapply the powder over. Body sunscreen. So it's important to keep in mind that sunscreens for the face and body have different formulations and can't always be used interchangeably. Often facial sunscreens are designed to be more easily absorbed and feel lighter. If you're in a pinch, you could use one in the other area, but it's not ideal. And also keep in mind, some sunscreens are more irritating to the eyes, and be really cautious about that, especially if you're really sweating. I often find I'm not as irritated by if it's just zinc and titanium dioxide without the chemicals, but that's not always the case because it depends on what the base is that it's in. Please don't believe common misinformation myths that deter you from using sunscreen to protect your skin. We have so much credible evidence out there, including the Harvard Women's Health Watch article in July, which I did have a link in at the end of this, to debunk these concerns. I was really disappointed. I read a study in about Australians that were 65% were worried about some of these myths and wouldn't wear sunscreen. The risk of skin cancer is definitely a real one and worth preventing. So the NIH actually recommends specific amounts of sunscreen because everyone's like, oh gosh, you have to put like a shot glass full on. So they say a teaspoon, 5 mils for the face, head, and neck, a teaspoon to each upper extremity, the front and the back, and 2 teaspoons each to the legs. So a total of 45 mils or 9 teaspoons for the whole body. So if you're not using these amounts, you're not getting the SPF written on that bottle. And let's say you are doing half the amounts, then your SPF should be, 70 and not 15. So at Body and Beauty Lab, we offer procedures to help reverse sun damage if you had a couple days that you weren't as diligent or you got caught out there without the protection you needed. So oftentimes when people say, oh, what should I get, kind of is, I'm nervous about entering the spa world, I'm like, just get a hydrofacial. It's like 3 facials in one. You get a deep cleanse, exfoliation, a hydration. Sometimes they'll add a boost with growth factors or a peel to it. And then oftentimes the esthetician will guide you for your skin and your skin goals, what to do from there. So also if I have a patient who just got a hydrofacial with an esthetician and then I'll see them for an injectable product, I just literally feel the needle like glide in instead of crunch in because the skin is so hydrated and healthy. So if you're one of those people that has a lot of extra brown and red from sun damage, sometimes then you'll need to get a series of IPL, which stands for intense pulse light, and it's referred to as a photofacial. So the wavelength is of light for this device targets reds, browns to even the skin tone. And the energy from IPL, if you'd like, let's say, do a series every month, it can actually increase the body's production of collagen to an extent. And then if you need something more intense, like a fractionated laser, we would do Fraxel. And even though it seems like those are intense and treat the whole skin, it's actually like fractionated. So it's pixelated, or just these little kind of dots, maybe, I don't know if you can see this, would get treated, sparing some skin here to regrow. So that's why it's still a series of treatments. And that one has a 1550 nanometer, and it's chromophore as water, so it can be used on all different skin types. Sometimes our real dark skin types, you can't really do IPL as easily on. All right, so we're gonna talk about this, the retinoids on this skin pyramid here. So let's say you're like, okay, I'm good with cleanser and I'm good with sunscreen. What more could I do to help with my skin? So retinoids have actually been FDA approved for almost 50 years. They were first approved in 1971 to help with acne. And also keep in mind, some of them are not okay to use while pregnant or lactating. So retinoids are actually a vitamin A derivative, which same with Accutane, but this is just topical. And we need to utilize them with care in order to enhance the tolerance of the product. So that would mean you're just gonna apply a pea-size amount initially to your skin 2 days a week into dry skin. So if you wash your face and then like barely dry it off and then put a bunch of Retin-A on, you're actually gonna have more side effects, more redness, more peeling, things like that. And you just have to push through because there's a transition phase with all retinoids. If you're using an intense one that's gonna be effective, where you might get a little peeling or redness. So we say once you've used it get over that hump, once you've used it for 6 weeks, then your skin becomes what we call retinized and you're good. If you stop using it for a while and you use it again, you have to maybe use it like a newbie. So keep that in mind. So it's just, so ideally after you wash your face, wait about 15 minutes. Do something with your hair or your phone prior to applying just a small pea-size amount on the whole face. So it actually, during studies, it takes about 3 to 6 months of regular use before improvement of wrinkles are seen. Acne, it's a little bit sooner, but results usually happen after 6 to 12 months. So yeah, it's great that these can actually help collagen. And we have to remember that they also work slightly as an anti-inflammatory, but they also thin the skin slightly and can make you much more sun sensitive. So sometimes in the summer months, we have to back down on the Retin-A we're using if we're not going to be extremely diligent with our sun protection. You can actually do more damage if you're like, I'm just going to use Retin-A and skip sunscreen. It doesn't work that way. All right, so then going up the pyramid to antioxidants. So these I mentioned, these might be on the bottom of the pyramid, these might be second level, they're just the powerhouse in the pyramid, really. So one of the first antioxidants that was pure that came out that I fell in love with was the CE Ferulic by SkinCeuticals, and their pure vitamin C. But then I tried the Body and Beauty Lab Citrix, and I really like this one. It has a very pure vitamin C, very high L-ascorbic acid and pure that's going to get in, and it just helps brighten your skin. So if the sunscreen isn't perfect, which no sunscreen is, and then you go on to get a little bit of a free radical damage or oxidation that's damaging to the skin, this can kind of help reduce those issues. So antioxidants help reduce pigment and fine lines and wrinkles. This was actually the first anti-aging product I used when I was in my early 30s. And I had a lot of brown at the time, and it really did help get rid of, it helped lighten my melasma, I feel, even. So it's so important in healthy skin, and we have it in actually our moisturizers and the serums, cleansers. We have antioxidants in so many of the products. So AHAs, alpha hydroxy acids. If you want to do one more thing besides sunscreen and an antioxidant and a cleanser, then you're going to do AHAs. Excuse me. So the alpha hydroxy acids, like glycolic acid, they can help exfoliate the skin and help the skin turn over better and function better. You have to be cautious if you're in the phase where you're getting used to Retin-A and then you're going to add an alpha hydroxy acid. You have to be very cautious or you will burn your skin. So maybe at first with a Retin-A, you're going to do that 2 times a week, maybe work up to 3 times a week, depending on your skin. This is where an esthetician can help you really with your regimen. And then maybe just start with the glycolic acid 1 day a week. See how you do. Maybe you eventually go up to twice a week. And it also depends on the strength of the acid. So we have a really nice one in our night cream. And sometimes I'll even wear it in the day, but not everybody's skin can tolerate that. It's a rejuvenate and firming night renewal. So it actually has a 15% glycolic. I have pretty tough skin and I can't use a Retin-A and this together. I would do this one night and then the Retin-A another night. So they can also, in my non-compliant acne patients, I like this because I could do it maybe once a week and it will decrease acne if you're using it at a high strength. It can actually help with rosacea, depending on which we have to be careful with reading that type of skin. Minimize pore size, surface wrinkles, helps the skin tone, texture, remove dead skin cells. So as we age, our skin doesn't turn over as efficiently as it did when we were younger. And it helps unclog pores. So this is really great, especially in the summer months, to keep your pores clear. So same thing, it's one of those products that although it can help with anti-aging, if you are in the sun, you're going to do more damage without diligent sun protection. Okay, and then the bleaching agent would be like hydroquinone, and we do have some brightening pads that contain both of those products. So peptides and growth factors, those are at the tippy top of the pyramid. If you're like, okay, I'm a real champion, I'm doing everything, what else can I do? Add peptides and growth factors, which we actually have as an add-on to one of the hydrofacials. So peptides are short chains of amino acids, and they're the building blocks of proteins. The most common proteins in the skin are elastin, collagen, and keratin. As early as 2004, a study was published in the International Journal of Tissue Reactions proving the benefits of peptides. The article is titled "Collagen-like Peptide Exhibits a Remarkable Anti-Wrinkle Effect on the Skin when Topically Applied," and it was an in vivo study. So a more recent study in 2020 in the International Journal of Molecular Science titled Anti-Wrinkle Benefits of Peptide Complex Stimulating the Skin Basement Membrane was also really interesting. And if you go on the AAD, there's a whole free article or free audio cast on 45 minutes on what happens at that basement membrane. So a lot goes on, and they know that these peptides are effective at that level of the skin. So this article detailed positive changes with collagen expressions at the molecular level at that DEJ or dermal epidermal junction. So we know these things work. So you don't want to just spend all your money at, you know, well, I don't want to talk anybody down, but certain makeup counters when we have a little more science behind our products here. Okay, my favorite body and beauty lab products on the pyramid. I already kind of touched on some of these. So we have a great cleanser, which is a citrusy cleanser. I don't think I have that in front of me. We had to get rid of all of our samples because of COVID, so I'm not squeezing things out for you. But it has antioxidants in it, and it's really great. Sorry, I think I just went the wrong way. Okay, so at the base of the pyramid, we have our tinted sunscreen that I really like right here. High percentage of zinc, 16.2%. And then like I mentioned, sometimes I'll like to just dust the Color Science mineral powder over for extra protection. And here's a picture of the cleanser we have here. And it works for all skin types. It's not a soap-based cleanser, and it has pure essential oils. So they smell nice, and they're antibacterial and increase circulation. This exfoliant I like, especially if I'm getting a little too aggressive with Retin-A or one of my glycolic acids. I might have some flaky, and I'll just gently exfoliate with this. You always see this meme going around in the skincare world that says, friends don't let friends use an apricot facial scrub. So if you're in love with that, give that up and try this. It's really nice. It has micro-sifted bamboo, and it actually heats up because of this reaction it has with some clay in it. Powerful antioxidants, green tea, white tea, and all that is going to help counteract the free radicals like we talked about. Okay, on the second level of the pyramid, I love our retinols. So before the age of 40, I was able to just use intense Tazarac, Retinol, and any kind of retinol I could just slap on my face. And now my skin is like, no, you're too old for that. You're getting weird thin skin from that. So by switching to this Body and Beauty Lab retinol, which we have in 2 strengths, actually 3, but for newbies, we'll usually put them on a 5 or a 2. It's very tolerable because it has things in there that are going to actually calm the skin. It has some and it's in a beautiful silicone base. So it's something I can put a pump on, slap it on, and know I'm not going to burn my skin the next day. It's not going to look crazy and red, which would sometimes happen with some of the generic retinols. So then here I have a picture of our Purify and Detox. So this is just our daily moisture. I love this product because I can give it to any patients, even greasy acne patients that say, I can't use moisturizer. Every moisturizer breaks me out. I can give this to them. And they're like, okay, you're right, it didn't. And then I can get that patient helping their skin barrier while they're working on other skin issues. So the caffeine is in there. Green tea polyphenols, so just really good. Then this is, I mentioned this earlier, this is what I use instead of my previously using the SkinCeuticals vitamin C because it's very pure. It actually smells way better than the, because of the essential oils, it smells better than some of the competing products. And then over here is the glycolic nighttime product that I can only tolerate a couple times a week. So this product is great for moisturizing for people that don't need thick moisturizer. And also, even if you do need a lot of hydration, this feels light, but because it has hyaluronic acid, it's really moisturizing you. It's a very clean product. It has all these good things right here. And it actually was studied, and 70% reported firmness in their face. You can read all these here. 80% improvement, reported improvement in wrinkles and fine lines. It just feels really great. And I'll use this, we can use this post Aqua Gold, which is a treatment where we actually stamp in hyaluronic acid in the form of a filler with Botox to help minimize pores. After that treatment, the skin is open. So I can't even put vitamin C on the skin then, but I can put this hyaluronic acid in because it's calming, pure, and has the copper peptides, which we talked about in terms of helping the growth factors in the skin. So Jen Miller was able to give us a product sale 25% off for all participants in this Zoom, and it's going to go on for a month, and then 10% off any service. Here are some citations. And then this over here is my logo. And so if you want to DM me with any questions on Instagram, it's injector.sarah. At injector.sarah.sidiqi. So that'll just DM me if I wasn't clear about something or you want to ask something more in depth. How do I go to, but now I think that concludes everything that I wanted to say. Thank you so much for sticking with me, and I'll be happy to welcome any questions. Do I do stop share?